The Community Redevelopment Agency meeting of February 19th will come to order. If the minutes of the October 16, 2018 meeting are acceptable, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Minutes stand approved. Our first item before us this afternoon is a presentation of the 2018 annual report. Business Relations Manager Greg Pauley will present. Mr. Pauley.
Good evening, everyone. Greg Pauley, Business Relations Manager. If I could switch over to the large screen display. There we go. I've got 3 items to present to you. I'll pause between each and field questions. The first one is, just real quick, our community redevelopment area got its start back in 1999, late 1999, and it was ultimately codified in the year 2000. So if anybody really wants to know the background, that's how long it's been out there. First thing we're going to talk about tonight is the annual report and the reporting requirements. Our Community Redevelopment Agency is registered with the state through the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, and as such, we have 5 mandatory reports that we must complete each year. The first, an annual report, which is due March 31st. I'll be going through that with you tonight. The second is an annual audit, which is inclusive in our city audit annually. The next is our annual fees and administrative updates. It's a procedural form that has to be filed each year with the state. The next is the annual CRA budget. That's also included in our city budget. And finally is the comprehensive annual report, which is inclusive within the city's CAFR report. Our CRA, the entire area, consists of slightly greater than, oh, your screen didn't switch over yet. Let's try that again. There we go. Slightly greater than 225 acres. If you look at the map, the yellow boundary defines the entire CRA area. We generally refer to it in 4 quadrants. And the area of most interest to city staff is the southeast quadrant. That's where the city-held property is located, the property that we're currently marketing for sale and development. Again, everything I have here tonight is the 2018 highlights. In 2018, what happened in our CRA? We really started to gain some momentum. We have 3 properties that grabbed interest of various developers. Parcel number 1, indicated on the map, was purchased in November by Paragon Property Group. Paragon plans to build 5 freestanding structures on that property. Parcel number 2, 4.8 acres, immediately to the east of Paragon's property. That property is under contract for $3 million, and its estimated closing date is mid-July. I believe July 18th is the date that's coming to mind. And that developer plans to build 200 luxury apartments. And property number 3 is the Enigma Realtors Group. They have recently engaged a DBA. You know them as Enigma Events. They did introduce a DBA recently, Enigma Realtors. And that property, I'm very pleased to announce, is now under contract as of about 1:30 this afternoon. And that developer is very excited. He truly wants to capitalize on the momentum of our downtown area. And I have challenged him to be quick to close. He's interested in accelerating his closing date to get up and running on his parcel redevelopment as well. He will build a 4-sided boutique retail establishment. Looking at the budget for 2018, here is the revenue for your TIF, side-by-side comparison with the 2018 budget versus the 2018 actual. You'll see our partners, Hillsborough County and City of Tampa, their contributions, both budgeted and actual. Total contributions at $100,792. To Temple Terrace Temple Terrace share was $117,712. And giving us a total of $218,504. Next screen shows the expenses. Now, on the expense screen, you'll see that I've included one general fund item, the redevelopment item. That is my budget specifically that I operate under. So that's included in both this report as well as a quarter report as a bottom line item. Here you can see that the $218,504 was transferred into the debt service fund. And the bottom line there shows what was expensed from the redevelopment last year. Remember, this is 2018 annual report. And looking ahead for 2019, well, obviously, we're already in it. We're working hard. I've been working with the manager and a great deal with our planning department to work with the different developers to continue to promote the momentum that we have the ball rolling. We will continue to market those city-owned available properties down in that southeastern quadrant. As always, we are seeking projects that offer the desired amenities that our community wants. Our community has stood at this podium and told each of you what they want. And we have a very unique set of developers that currently are engaged in various projects to give them some of their ask. And hopefully in due time, we will have more developers finishing up that development down there. Obviously, a big part of my role is to work with the local businesses and promote economic development. We want to support our existing businesses as well as bring new businesses into the area. The bottom line for economic development is more businesses, more jobs. That money, then those wages, they get turned back around into our community for shopping and dining and things of that nature. And obviously, it also helps increase our local tax base. And none of this is possible without city staff continuing to forge long-lasting partnerships with these developers and these business owners. And that is a summary of your 2018 annual report. I believe it came in your packet. It's the one that looks like this. And I'll pause for just a moment for any questions you may have about the annual report.
I don't have that. Councilman Shalera.
I have a couple of questions. Mr. Paul.
Yes, sir.
I would like to know a clear timeline on this new contract we're under, like when it's going to close, when their money's going hard, and also with the apartment project, the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before that, we were told that some of the money went hard. Need to keep us maybe up to date on that, because folks in the community say, where's our redevelopment reports?
Sure.
So if we can have maybe some recaps on that, but also bring us up to speed on, we went in contract, that's great, so, you know, what does the contract say? It says there's an inspection period, so much money goes hard, then we close and, you know,
Yes.
on X day. We don't have to guess the closing date because it's in the contract unless they want to close sooner, if I'm correct. The apartment, you said it's a July 8th closing or July something closing, but a timeline on, you know, we have this much money went hard, we're supposed to close on this date. That's just helpful for us to, people ask, where are we at with this? You guys have been talking about it for a while. That helps us answer those questions. When you pull the budget portion of it up, it was going pretty quickly. I didn't
Oh, I'm sorry.
catch up to it. It mentioned City of Tampa. It said Temple Terrace, Hillsborough County, Tampa. What was the Tampa part, right? Is that it? City of Tampa, $2,600? Is that just, what is that?
The actual is the 2236. This is the TIF report that our finance director produces as part of her overall budget. That shows the ad valorem contributions, both from the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. And then those two figures added together is what gives our total partner contributions. And then you'll see the Temple Terrace is held separate below.
So City of Tampa contributing to, how does that work? I mean, they don't,
It's been set up, there's a percentage that Tampa contributes to the CRA, the TIF fund. It's always been that way.
it's the first I've heard, so
Yeah.
that's why I was asking. I saw that and didn't understand
Sure.
where that was, because there's no Tampa properties in the city of Temple Terrace. And normally the county, because when I was mayor, we actually went to the county to ask for the extension of the TIF for 100% for the remaining 20 years, because the first 10 years was 100. After that, it was going to go to 80%. And we asked for 100%, and the county commission graciously awarded that or gave it to us. But I don't ever recall City of Tampa contributing anything. That's why I'm questioning it, obviously.
Yes.
So, and this is the 18 budget and the total revenues. I see that part. I just didn't know the City of Tampa, and maybe at
We can work all that up for you.
some point in the future, just let us know. I just didn't, it's the first I've seen that, so maybe I
Sure.
wasn't paying attention.
Sure, not a problem. To answer your previous comment, I can speak directly to the Enigma Realtors contract only because it's literally fresh as of today. They have a 60-day, their first deposit is due within 3 days. They have a 60-day inspection period. Upon expiration of their inspection period, their first deposit goes hard. At that time, within 5 days of their end of their inspection period, their second deposit is due and goes hard, pending that, obviously, the city is able to meet our closing obligations. And then their closing occurs 60 days after that, pending no extensions.
Okay.
So we're looking at 125 days.
If you, and whether it be in the city manager report or somewhere, maybe just give us a rundown of that. How much money goes hard, at what timeline, at what period, just so we have a track of it.
The deposits for that contract are 100,000 due in 3 days, and then a second set of 100,000 due at the end of the inspection period.
Right. If it's at your convenience, if you can just put those
Sure.
dates down and just a little, whether it's in a city manager report or whatever, so I'd like to
Absolutely.
always, it's easier when I see it in writing versus
Absolutely.
trying to jot it down. I don't want to write something incorrectly, but thank you for that. And then also, where we are with the apartment folks, as far as, I know they gave us some money, we found that out here, their inspection period had closed, and just to see where we're at.
That one I'm going to have to research because I don't have those dates fresh.
I don't need anything.
I know the other ones only because we just did it today.
Just when you get a chance, if you can get
Sure.
that to us, that'd be great. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Paul in this first segment? Councilman Donovan?
Yes, ma'am.
Have we heard anything from Cushman Wakefield on the other property, the number 3, I guess is one of, the unknown?
The unnumbered?
Yes.
The numbered properties, of course, are those that are under contract at this time. We've had a little interest. I did have interest a month or so ago on that parcel until the prospective investor realized that he was too close to a partner chain location. He wanted to go in and build a restaurant in that space. He's too close to a partner franchise, and
I
we
can
didn't
ask
get,
you-
that never went anywhere.
Are we actually directing them or suggesting to them more of what we're looking for, which is, office buildings, something that's going to provide us with a high yield? And are we making suggestions to them, or are they just out there
Oh, no.
talking to anybody and everybody?
No, we communicate with them regularly on what we think is the ideal environment down there. What you just described, in addition to retail and restaurant hospitality, are the areas that we definitely want them focused on in that space. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. We do engage them regularly. In fact, I communicated with Mr. Berman this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next item to be presented tonight is a very quick snapshot of 2019 quarter one. Simply one screen here. Just to give you a quick snapshot. Now, I did include this in the pack. It was just a plain white sheet. I think it was included in your packet. Titled FY 2019 First Quarter Financial.
It's not in the packet, it's separate packet. It's just on the agendas and agenda.
Oh, it's on the, I'm sorry. So this will give you just a quick snapshot of where we're at as of Q1. You can see here again, we have our TIF revenue. If you quickly jump to the second section of that table, again, you'll see that Tampa-Hillsborough partnership as well as the Temple Terrace monies, and then the total. The budget versus the actual year-to-date, and the percentage showing where we're at as we move towards that total budgeted amount. And then, once again, at the bottom, just a quick one-line entry that shares with you our redevelopment from our general fund. And again, these are expenses from current. And I'll stand for questions on that.
Councilman Donahue?
The budget, the 2019 adjusted budget went from, what was it, 133 to 160?
I'm sorry.
I don't have both of them in front of me because it's on the operating fund, the redevelopment.
Yes, ma'am.
So that took quite a jump. Is there a reason for that?
It was increased, I was transferred into that, specifically into that from my previous position, public information and under executive. So I'm in that now, and obviously, all of the budgeted funds moving in that direction are also included in that.
Is that a number that's proposed for our 2019?
No,
This is,
no, that's a number that's in your 2019.
it's in our
Yeah,
2019.
that's in your 2019.
The primary jump in cost between 18 and 19 was we put professional services there because we know that we're going to need some surveys and plating and all that other stuff come along with selling property. That was
Okay.
anticipated, so.
Thank you.
And obviously, the actuals from last year were much lower
Yeah.
because I was paid from a different account at that point.
Right.
Councilman Shalera? Are there any other questions?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Smalley?
Thank you. And finally, quick status update. I know I briefly spoke on some of these contracts initially in prior questions, but here's just a real quick graphic to kind of pinpoint where those three developments are. You can see Paragon sits right there on the corner, Richmond in this image directly behind, and then Enigma further to the south, closer to the river. Looking at the Paragon project, just a real quick artistic rendering of what the corner is proposed to look like. And then here we have their proposed concept plan. This is their very initial rendering. Obviously, the stuff that we're expecting next week is going to be full, much more full of detail. But this project will feature 5 freestanding buildings for hospitality, retail, and banking. The site plan pre-application meeting was held in January. The replat is currently underway. It has been submitted, but does require some additional forms that need to be filled out and turned into our planning department. According to Mr. Moon, his site plan is 80% complete and will be 100% complete within the next 7 to 10 days. So our planning department is expecting that next week to be fully turned in. And right after Paragon, we have the Richmond property. Again, just a real quick rendering of the apartment community. They pride themselves on luxury upscale apartments. A real quick snapshot of the overall site plan. 2 4-story residential structures surrounding a clubhouse and a swimming pool. Pre-application meeting was originally held in October. Their replat is also underway. A replat meeting was held just last week, the 14th. The site plan is expected in office within 30 days with a closing date, as we previously discussed, in mid-July. And last but certainly not least, Enigma Realtors. Again, here's an artistic mock-up of what they intend to do to the pre-existing building. Obviously, there's significant changes to the elevations on all 4 sides, covering a covered walkway surrounding the entire building. And again, remember, these are going to be storefronts from all four sides, approachable from all four sides. There's a quick snapshot of their concept. This particular image also shows a couple of porch areas on the back. If you recall from some of the original renderings that were offered, it was set up kind of a bistro, outdoor bistro style, with a restaurant occupying those corner spaces. And I spoke to him again today, and that is still his intent. He's very excited about that. He just signed his contract today, and he's actually got a fair portion of his building already spoken for. So he's very excited, and after speaking with him today, I was equally excited. His contract was signed today. His first deposit, as I mentioned earlier, is due in 3 days. His inspection period is 60 days. His second deposit will be due 5 days after the inspection period ends, and his closing to occur within 60 days after the inspection period. I did engage a little bit of discussion with him and ask him if he was interested in accelerating his closing, and he affirmatively responded, and he's as excited to get this project up and running as anyone else in the community is. So, and with that quick update, I will once again stand for questions.
Councilman Schisler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Pauly, good presentation. Got a
Thank
couple of questions, though. The actual community redevelopment area extends beyond 56th Street to the west,
Yes.
and the properties beyond there. What kind of activity is going on with some of those over there? I know we had, this council's already blessed the bowling alley project, and I know it's not a bowling alley, but what is the status of that? And when will that come into our TIF rolls, as well as the Salim's, the restaurant on Bush Boulevard? When will that come into creating TIF money for us?
Well, the entire redevelopment area is just that. It is our redevelopment area. I put the slide back up. I don't know if we can jump back over to it real quick. Let's see if I can get it to come back up. There we go.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that those TIF monies are here now. I'd allow the manager to speak on that point.
I do believe, Mary Ann, we have those site plans in-house for the storage
Yes,
facility.
the site plan is currently reviewed, so they're about to submit their.
I don't believe that it includes the restaurant. I think it's just the storage area for right now. The site plan, the footprint for the restaurant is there, but that's in that third phase that we approved with them. But the phase that deals with the conversion of the bowling alley, that's in-house right now.
Okay, so that's moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And when does Salim's open? When does that become?
Which one?
Salim's, the restaurant on Bush.
Maybe by 2025. I can't
I
answer that
understand,
question.
I understand.
I know that
What's the issue? Do we know? Is it us?
they've just taken forever to build the thing.
Okay.
I don't know that we've ever secured an answer why it's taken so long.
Okay. Thank you.
But they appear to be pretty close.
And our understanding, it is not at the city side that is holding up that. Yep. Councilman Ross?
Good evening, Mr. Foley. I had a question about the Paragon project. When we were in discussions with Mr. Moon about who to sell the property to, he talked about the corner feature directly on the corner of 56th and Bush, and he told us at that time that he would be willing to enter into discussions with us about what that would look like, whether the city wanted a fountain or a clock tower or green space or whatever it is that we thought would fit or what we would want. We've never had any discussion since that time about what we want. So I saw the picture and it looks good, but I mean, we've never had any discussion that I'm aware of as a
Isn't that the
council.
original picture? I thought that was the original
Yes.
picture.
Right, but I mean, has,
When he brings the site plan in, council, not
Okay.
the agency, but council will get to review that.
so,
We can make whatever comments. we want.
right, but wouldn't it be better for us to provide some input before he makes the site plan about what we'd like to see there? So he's building a site plan without any input from us, and then we tell him, no, we don't want a fountain, we want a clock tower, or we want a whatever it is we want. As far as I know, this council's never had that discussion about what we think we want. We've never asked the public what they think they might want. Are we gonna do that after he's made the site plan?
We'll have a discussion with him tomorrow.
But you don't know what we want. We don't know what we want.
Well, but he's always represented that there would be a fountain there. We don't know the design of the fountain because we've never been provided with the design.
Right.
We typically don't do that until you get into construction drawings and site plan review. If he's at 80% construction drawings right now, he should have a pretty good idea. We'll get that from him before he submits his 100% drawings. And we'll let council, have some conversation with the public.
Right, well, I guess my point is, if he submits a fountain and we decide we want a clock tower, it's a little late to,
It would, it would be helpful to know from council before then, too. I
right.
mean, no one's ever mentioned a clock tower that I can recall. He has always submitted a fountain, and I thought that's what we were headed for. I mean, we're gonna start dictating to this guy something different than what he presented. I don't want to get into that back and forth with him, but certainly if there's a notion that we want a clock tower there, that would be nice to know.
Well, my point is that was the last discussion we had before we sold it to him, and we've never revisited that. We've never been asked, and we've never asked the public what anybody wants there.
I apologize, I was always under the impression we were going with a fountain. I can't recall we had any discussions other than that, but we'll have that discussion and we'll give you some feedback.
Other comments or questions, council? Is there any other business to come before the CRA? We will stand adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Pauly, for your presentation.
Thank you.